Hello everybody, Thrashed All Death here. I've been meaning to talk to you today about a movie that I've been wanting to get around to a while now. That is Evangelion 1.11. This is a thorny one for me to review, partly because I've never really been a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I appreciate the influence that the series has had over the past 15 years, and I like the idea of the series in principle. Giant robots and massive conspiracy plots are always two easy ways to get a story that I'll like. But the way it was executed has never really sort of endeared itself to me. Part of it's because of the well-documented breakdown that the series had in its second half, and the problems with funding that ultimately turned the last two episodes into basically a psychological slideshow. But it's also due to the long-standing issues that the series has with characterization. For all that Evangelion's supposed to be this in-depth analysis of its three main characters' psyches, I always thought that in Evangelion, Hideaki Anno never really understood the distinction between psychoanalysis and genuine characterization. What is Shinji Ikari, after all, except for a big bundle of neuroses and father issues? What is he like? What is he good at? What are his tastes? We never really feel like we know Shinji so much as we're familiar with his case history. But now, as I'm sure you're aware, Evangelion is one of the most famous and prolific anime of all time, and one of the most profitable, so the series has been getting a reboot in the form of 4 theatrical movies, starting with this one, subtitled You Are, open brackets, not, close brackets, alone, which recaps the events of maybe the first 5 or 6 episodes of the series, and Shinji's battles with the first 3 angels. I'm not going to bother recapping the plot because, frankly, if you're watching this review, then you already know pretty much everything that happens in Evangelion. But, yeah, I enjoyed it, even though these were the 5 or 6 episodes, or at least this is part of the first half of the series that I still thought was good. But yeah, it works very well as a standalone movie. It's well edited, takes the scenes from the original series and copy-paste them back together in a way that feels like a coherent arc for the first part of a movie series. So technically it's very proficient. A lot of the issues I had with Shinji are still sort of present. I can't really say that the characterization diverges in any significant way from the way it did in the series. Obviously the real acid test comes later, for the 3 movies that are still to come. So whether or not Shinji is really going to redeem himself as a character in my eyes, I guess we still have to find out. Although, one thing I will say for this movie is that this does take place in the events before Asuka shows up, and any 95 minutes you spend watching a movie where you don't have to endure that shrill fucking harpy bitch is 95 minutes well spent, as far as I'm concerned. The animation, very good looking. It's been touched up with all sorts of digital flourishes and bits and pieces of CGI. Most of the sequences are actually just animation lifted from the original series, obviously just digitally touched up. And one effect this does have is that the character designs look a bit anachronistic, a bit simplistic by the standards of the sort of high quality modern digital animation that's on display. But you know, Evangelion's not that old a series, only 1995, so it still looks more or less fine as it is. The one benefit this has, just sort of taking the majority of the footage from the original series, is that it's allowed the makers to pour a lot of the film's budget into the battle sequences, and these look absolutely incredible, particularly the final battle with the diamond-shaped angel, the one that drills its way, or tries to, into Nerve headquarters beneath Tokyo 3. If you've seen the series, you know the one I'm talking about. And I've watched a lot of science fiction and a lot of anime in my time, obviously, but this was one of those rare moments I get these days where it was genuinely awe-inspiring. The way that showdown plays out is one of the more visually spectacular moments I've seen in recent anime history, and it's almost worth watching for the Sagisu Shiro, I think that's the composer's name, for the track Prophets of Doom. He's originally composed for these movies, and plays over that final confrontation. The whole thing is just cinematic as all hell. The whole movie is almost worth watching just for that scene alone. Excuse me. As to the sort of quieter scenes, a lot of the comic relief has been sort of toned down, which is fine. I wasn't a fan of sort of the fan servicey elements of the original Evangelion. That said, I'm not really usually a fan of comic relief and fan service in anime in general, but I digress. A lot of that's sort of been toned down. A lot of the secondary characters have been cut out. One thing I did appreciate remaining was the character of Misato, who was always sort of my favourite character in the series. She's one of almost the main person in the series who occurs to me as being genuinely human, outside of the three main Eva pilots. She's the only one who, in this series, seems to occur to me as, having a personality, having genuine human interests, as opposed to just being sort of a bundle of psychological profiling. So her conversations with Ritsuko were sort of the high point of the film to me. So all in all, yeah, Evangelion 1.1, definitely worth checking out, if either on its own terms, or if you're a fan of the series and you want to see a different take on it, it's worth watching in either regard. Although, as I say, whether or not this is going to salvage Evangelion for me as a series, the acid test for that still remains with the 3 films to come. So yeah, with reservations, I'd definitely say go and check out Evangelion 1.1 if you haven't already. And I'm already waiting for the next one, so good entertainment, thumbs up, whatever. That's pretty much it from me for the moment. Be sure to check out thethrashersworld.blogspot.com. I've got text reviews up for both On Back 3 and The Town, the new Ben Affleck film. So be sure to check that out, leave comments, emails, whatever. That's it from me from the moment. See you next time. This is Thrash Till Death. Goodbye.